Strong start, right? Oh, I'm recording, aren't I? Okay. Today is the 17th of March. I had to look. I couldn't remember. Um, the reason I'm tired is that I went out for a walk today. I went to a little place near where I live, uh, called Evans Creek Preserve. I suppose that's narrowing down where I live a little bit, but again, since nobody's actually watching these yet, whatever. Um, Evans Creek is a waterway system that crisscrosses the area where I live and flows down the hill on which I live in a preserve that is open to the public. There are two places to park and enter the preserve. One's at the top and one's at the bottom. I only make the mistake of parking at the top one every now and again. The climb down from the top area to the otherwise highest level of the trails on the hill is incredibly steep and very tiring and more than a little dangerous. It is the area that is most prone to being washed out when rainfall is heavy during the winter. It has been in a state of um, trail recovery for the last like 2 years, basically. Um, and yeah, I park at the bottom. It's a long drive. It's actually much closer for me to park at the top, but considering what a treacherous climb it is, I like not having to make that climb to get to my car. And only on a couple occasions do I park at the bottom, climb all the way to the top where I'm not even parked, and then carefully tread down the hill again. I didn't do any of that today. Today I did a very sort of brisk, leisurely stroll through the preserve. It feels like a park, but it's a little wild to be a park. There aren't any really big play areas. There aren't any big fields to do stuff like Marymore down in Redmond. Um, but yeah, I went for a walk today specifically because of the fact that it's just now starting to be spring. This whole week has felt a lot like spring, um, but now this weekend it felt like it was threatening to rain and it was gray most of the day. But I managed to find the right time of day when there were some sun breaks, some blue sky breaks in the afternoon is when I walked down. Um, let's see, what did I do? I walked. I walked right. I started a right loop. You know, it's funny because there are maps all over, and there are top. I mean, there are maps, so they're top down, and the where I start my walk feels like I'm facing north and I'm going up into it and coming back down again. Um, but that's obviously not how it actually is. I think where I start is on the I think it's on the east side of the preserve, and then the further west I go, the further uphill it becomes. And I went pretty far west. I went up the hill and got up to the sort of second higher level, which is the before you have to start really climbing all the way up to get to the top parking lot. Um, and I was surprised because usually if I've been sort of lax all winter and gaining weight like I have been, the first time I try and go hiking during the spring, I am usually just wiped out. And maybe it's because I didn't. Maybe it's because I only made one real trip up. But hear me out. Hear me out. When you're on that second level of the, in the middle of the hill, basically, the climb up is hard enough, but it evens out once you get to that level. And there is one part. It's a new section of trail, or at least they said it was new a year ago, where you can climb up even higher on a set of switchback trails to really look down into the preserve, and it's a long section of trail, and I usually don't go on it because even at the driest, we had a dry summer last year. We had drought conditions and wildfires further east. It was so it was dry, and even during that period of time, this trail that I went on was super muddy. So imagine my surprise today when I saw somebody coming down, and I checked his shoes. Like, I nonchalantly looked down, didn't see like any mud. He was walking a golden retriever, and I looked at the paws of the golden retriever, very little mud, like no mud really. And I said, "So is the trail, muddy?" He said, "Oh no, not at all." And so I went up there, and I sort of got it in my head that they were, conceptualizing this trail, and they were never actually going to bother building it. But they'd put down gravel. They'd put down, okay, big rocks. Like, thank goodness I was wearing my nice running shoes. My hiking shoes is really what I use them for. Because they were big, sharp rocks. Not good for bare feet or even flip-flops. But they put them down in all the areas that wash up and get mired really easily, and it worked. There was a tiny little bit of mud on one part of the trail, and that was it. The real difficulty was just making sure I didn't trip and fall, roll down the hill, and break my back in two places. What's at the top of the hill and what's at the bottom. And then sort of on autopilot, when I got to the bottom, I intended to actually loop back around and follow and do more walking than I did. But maybe it was because by then it was already 4:30 or so. I just started walking, got back to my car and got in and drove home. That was my day. I've been talking a lot about Transformers and toys. I've got another figure that I stickered up. Might as well grab him. This is Wheeljack, or rather he was Wheeljack. Now he is the evil Exhaust. Wheeljack was a Lancia Stratos race car, rally car, back in the day, but in that Diaclone line that predated Transformers, there were two versions. The more famous version became the character known as Wheeljack. The other version was sponsored by Marlboro cigarettes, and thusly Hasbro didn't think that was a good idea to license in the United States, considering at the time there was sort of a war on drugs happening, and smoking was also being targeted. I don't smoke. I think it's horrible, but it is silly that this toy was never released for reasons. And I had to buy a sticker set to make it into it. And it's funny because it says right here on the arm, smoking kills. Yeah, right there. So he's got this sort of weird thing about him where he's sort of anti-smoking. He's got no smoking signs all over him, but he's actually an evil Decepticon that causes smoke to come out of things. I liked the idea of turning a good guy into a bad guy using only stickers. I thought that was clever. And as cool as he looks as a robot, I don't actually think he looks very cool as a robot. I have another figure of Wheeljack that's a much better mold. It's more articulated. It just looks better. But this one only cost $30 total. It was about $18 for the figure and $10 for the stickers. Actually, it was probably more than that. It was probably like $14 for the stickers. So probably more like 32 bucks. Let's call it $32 for a rare figure. The only official version of Exhaust, as he's called, is a Masterpiece figure, which is way more expensive. And I just spent like 2 minutes talking about toys when I said I wasn't going to do it. Anyway, that was what I did when I came home. I'm going to be sore tomorrow. I'm going to have, DOMS. Delayed onset muscle soreness from hiking. I could feel it in my hips and in my glutes as I was coming down the hill going, oh, this is going to hurt tomorrow. So I get to look forward to that. But the weather looks like it might actually be sunnier tomorrow than it was today, which would be easy because it was very gray most of the day. So I've been Eric Spornitz. It's 10 minutes exactly right now, and tomorrow will be better.